Hello friends, welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. It's time to work on block 3 of our village quilt. Our quilt pattern is called Tiny Town Quilt. And so far we have made the cottage block and we've made the daisy block. Today we are going to make the duplex block, which is very similar to our cottage block, only it's taller. But before we get started in all that, I would like to mention just a couple of things. One, I'm working in the background on another full quilt video, and the pattern I'm going to be using is Courthouse Steps by Missouri Star Quilt, and yummy fabrics that I'm going to be using are these Stonehenge fabrics. And I just love them. I bought the fabric and then shopped for the pattern. So that should be coming out sometime in the not too distant future. As soon as I finish this block, I'm going to get started right on that. One other thing I'd like to mention is this is the time of year for holiday decor. And I have a whole series of videos. They're actually in a playlist, I believe, called Holiday Decor. And I'll link it below. But I also have patterns for most of those in my Etsy shop. It's just called AuntDebbiesBoutique.com. No apostrophe in there. And it's linked below too. Okay, let's get started on our third cottage block or village block. The one we're doing, which is the duplex, is going to be so similar to this house that I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit faster. And if you have didn't watch the first one that's called the village block, I'll link it below too. And you might want to go back and watch it for a little more detailed instructions. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is take this stack. This is going to be our blue roof right here. And we have a stack of these background squares that have a diagonal line drawn on the back of them. And we're going to sew them. These are erasable pins. We're going to sew them like this to make our roof. But we have to sew one side first, and I'm going to sew just a hair inside this line. And there's 9 of them. I'm going to do all 9 of them chained together. And then we'll come back and trim this to a 1/4 inch and fold it open and iron it. And it should line up with your sides just right. Then after we've done that, we can come back in and put the other side on because it's going to cross this one. So once again, I'm going to sew just to the outside edge, away from the center, just a hair, like 1 thread's worth, so that we have a little bit of extra when we fold it. And then we'll end up with our rooftop. So let's take these over there. I'm going to speed it up pretty fast since we've done this before, so it doesn't take too long. I have switched out my 1/4 inch foot that has this little flange here on the side that guides your fabric when you're sewing a 1/4 inch seam. I switched out to my regular foot because that flange will catch on the fabric when you're trying to do a diagonal. So it doesn't work good on diagonal seams. I'll put it back on when we're back to straight seams. Okay. Now let's cut them apart and cut off all but 1/4 inch of the excess. And then we'll iron them. I'm just going to use my scissors since there's only 9 of them here. All right, put these in the scrap bucket for a scrappy quilt, and then let's iron all these open. We're to iron towards the dark, so let's turn all these with the dark side up. It will make it go faster now. I sewed the other side first on some of these. It doesn't matter. Thank goodness it doesn't. So I'm going to set our seam and then iron it open. Set our seam. Iron it open. Now it's time to put the other side on, and like you saw here, I put the left side of the roof on first on these, and I put the right side on these. It's not going to matter because even though there's a little bit overlap, when we sew it in, our seam is going to cover that. So I'm glad it doesn't matter because I just wasn't paying close enough attention. So now I'm going to come in on the other side, whichever side that is, and once again stitch down that. All right, let's go back to the sewing machine. Now they're all ironed and we have all of our roof lines ready to go. Now the next thing I want to do is take all of these little squares that I have down here. Well, I think they're rectangles, and I should have 2 of each. And these are the pieces that are going to go on either side of our door. And and this is our door, so I'm going to need 9 of these. I think that's 9. We'll find out when we get to the sewing machine. So I'm going to just line these up, and I will take one of the door pieces and one of the other pieces, and with right sides together, I am going to sew it down the long side, not the shorter side, the long side of each of them. And I'll sew one to each one of these. Then I'll come back to the top and I'll sew the other one. And we'll know that we have them in the right order if we have 2 that are the same color on either side of a door. So let's go sew that. Now I've put my 1/4 inch foot back on because we're just going to be sewing straight 1/4 inch seams. You probably noticed I had to flip some of them while I was at the machine, cut them apart. That's because I wasn't consistent on which side I sewed on first, just like on the roof. Probably not a real good way to demonstrate, but that's just kind of the way I am. I don't do anything the same way twice. All right, on these we want to iron towards the dark fabric. Now then, we don't have very much left to go. What we need to do next is to match up our second floor of our duplex. I believe that's the way it goes, yes. My print's going different, but that's the way they had us cut them out. So, oh wait, what am I doing? Then we're going to have to match a roof up with all of them. I'm going to just overlap these a little bit so we don't run out of space. Okay, I believe that's the only one that's got the flowers going a different direction. I'll at least point these up. Although a lot of them are going sideways. Now then, let's match up a roof with each one of them. We've got the same roofs, but we don't want the same roofs. I'm going to put on our houses. It would be too boring. Put that there. That one there. That one there. This one here. This one here. 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 And here. I hope those all look okay. All right, so now I'm sure you have guessed, all we have to do is sew all two of these seams together, and our duplex is done. So I'm going to take them over there, and I'm not going to chain them this time. I'm going to sew this seam, then I'm going to sew this seam, just so I don't get them out of order, because I very well could otherwise. So I'm turning these different directions. So that I keep them all straight. And we'll start with this one. All right, let's go finish sewing up our block. I don't think I'm going to use my leader for this. I think I'll just back stitch at the beginning and end of each block or each seam. Now that our blocks are done, let's iron towards the center. Whoa, my iron's pretty powerful today. I've got some kind of permanent creases, it looks like, in there from where the fabric is folded. I'm gonna give it a little Mary Ellen's best press. Even though I did use that on all of them. There's our first condominium. Condominium. That's a hard word for me to say for some reason. Condominium. Condo. Now, obviously, some of these are going to have to be trimmed up a little bit because they weren't all cut perfectly, it looks like. But I will do that off camera. Now here are all of our houses, all our condos. And when we mix them in with our other houses, oh, that's not a house. And a few daisies. We're going to have an adorable quilt. All right, we are halfway through now with our quilt block, or all of our quilt blocks, and I will get to the other three pretty soon. I want to thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you learned something, or excuse my dog, he's been very rude today. Rudy. He's a barker, unfortunately, and the other one is a panter, so I am sorry for the distractions. Got these turned funny. All right, as I was saying, thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. If I skipped through it a little too fast, you might want to look at one of the first two videos. You can also find more about the fabric line and the pattern in those. We will get to the next three blocks pretty soon. Just depends on how fast I go on the courthouse steps quilt. But and I also have some more paper piecing, foundation paper piecing coming your way. So thanks again for tuning in. If you would, please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you can do. It helps me be able to bring more videos to you and to afford all this luscious fabric that I'm getting to work on. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord. And yes, you can do quilting to the glory of the Lord. See you next time.